Welcome to Trestle Times Talks, the voice of Franklin, New Hampshire. This is brought to you by the Franklin Communications Group, which is a nonpartisan, volunteer-powered network bringing local news and community stories to your ears. Subscribe to stay informed, share to keep your neighbors in the know, and if you've got news to share, the contact details are in the show notes. Now, here's what's happening in Franklin. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Trestle Times podcast. Today, I'm here with Allyn Stillman, owner of Stillman Construction. Allyn, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So we'll just start with the general business questions to get people to know you a little bit better and what you do. Introduce yourself and your business and tell us what's unique about what you offer and how you got to where you are.
Well, I started the company in 1986 down on the Seacoast and ran it there for about 22 years until 2008, with the economic downturn kind of, caused some problems. And I went to work for another company in the Seacoast and started a construction division for them. They were primarily a fence company.
Okay.
And I worked there until a year ago. My son, Mark, who now owns the company and is the manager, he worked with me in that company for 5 or 6 years and then decided that he wanted to try on his own. And I had always kept the business alive for that whole time that I was working for the other company. And so I let him take the company. And after, a few months of him being out there on his own, I noticed that he needed some help with the experience end of the business. So I took a leap of faith and left the company I was with and joined him. And now we work together every day, which is pretty awesome.
So you're a family business.
We are a family business, yes.
Awesome. What's one industry myth or something most people don't know about what you do? It could be either like construction in general or...
Well, I think that, well, first of all, HGTV has caused a little
Same
bit
here.
of expectation problem with the industry. You can't do a whole house reno in 2 weeks for $25,000. So I think that is one of the big hurdles that we have to get over.
I agree.
With our customers. But I think now with so much information being out there for people, it should make it easier for them to kind of get a better idea of what they really want. Our biggest challenge, I think, is when 2 or 3 guys go in, have an hour-long conversation with a customer, and then the expectation from the customer is that all 3 of those guys are going to have the same vision and have paid attention to what that conversation really did while they were trying to assess the situation in the house, and then go back home and try to remember everything that they talked about. And I don't think that you can get the same product from 3 different people in that situation.
That's a good point. I'm wondering if 3 different people also will bring 3 different ideas together. Generally, when I work with contractors, I'm a very visual person. I will generally show them pictures or even like layouts, like I already have something kind of in mind.
Right.
And then give me feedback to see, like, is this possible? Is this going to cost past my budget type of thing?
Right. And that's what we try to do. Mark, he's really good with CAD, and he can take ideas and turn them into drawings that, people can really get a good visual idea of what we're talking about. I would encourage people to either talk to a designer or architect, or come to us and get a plan, and have ideas about what you want for fixtures and appliances and finishes, and it makes it a lot easier to get an apples to apples comparison if you're getting more than one price. And
So for suggestion on that, for people, there is Pinterest, of course.
Yeah.
For people who like house and have a particular housing project, I've actually used Houzz, Houzz, before, and it's
Right.
basically Pinterest just for building and that sort of stuff. And I find that very helpful as far as like relevant current styles and that's things of that nature.
Right. And then when it comes to, making modifications or putting an addition on or building a new house, especially, I mean, I think when it comes to a new house, I think people generally have already looked at house plans, and it's a much smoother process that way. But when you're going in to do a remodel, where you're going to take out walls or put an addition on, I think that
you have to work around what's there, right?
Exactly. And that's where you can get into problems with different contractors looking at things differently and understanding how things work together and things like that.
Well, what do they say? There's like 10 ways to skin a cat, right?
Exactly. And and out of those 10 ways, 2 of them will work the way that you want it to, and 8 won't. So it's important to find those 2.
So the year's experience helps too, because once you've been doing this for a while, you also learn like things that typically work well, things that don't work well, that
Right.
sort of thing.
Well, I've definitely found all the ways that don't work in my 40 plus years of doing it. So yeah, it's been an expensive education, but and even though I've done hundreds of renovations and kitchens, baths, additions, you name it, no 2 jobs are exactly the same.
Same thing with my job as well.
Right.
And then, you get because you don't want people to have to call you back to come back and fix something, right? That's not something anybody wants.
No, that's the last thing you want.
So that helps. Tell people a little bit more. I mean, construction, that's a pretty broad topic. What do people generally call you for? What do they love the most that you do?
I would have to say that it's, renovations. We're primarily do additions and renovations.
Okay.
We'll build the occasional new home, but that's really not our niche at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But we are exploring that that option, where I've always been down on the seacoast where land is very expensive.
Yes.
Up this way,
it's getting more expensive, but it's not like
it is. It's
not where the land costs as much as the house, right?
Exactly. And it is changing a little bit. But what I would really like to do is to be able to get people back into a starter home. Something that's 2 to 3 bedrooms, affordable, and something that is potentially expandable as their family grows. But trying to find a starter home right now is, I have 4 kids, and out of the 4, 2 of them have homes of their own, but one was a family home, and one was a duplex that because they could rent the other side made it affordable for them to get into. But
The housing market right now is still not as many homes are available to purchase or even rent that are needed. And that's why the prices are still high and not exaggerating, growing, but they're still growing. So a lot of people are doing that. They're doing multifamily homes.
Mm-hmm.
You said a starter home, and immediately what popped into my head was the old, like when you go into an older house, you're like, this is the original part of the house, right? And it's like a box.
Right.
It's like, think about like a cape. Like it's a box around 4 chimneys. You have like 2 or 3 rooms, and then you have 2, maybe 4 small ones upstairs.
Exactly.
And they didn't have a bathroom. They had no
the house that I moved from in Portsmouth was a cape, just like you said. It did have a full dormer on the back. There were 8 kids that grew up in that house. They had a pink room upstairs and a blue room upstairs with the dresser drawers built into the eaves. And there was one full bath downstairs and a sink and a toilet on the second floor.
Yep.
And by the time I was done having kids and expanding the house, we had, I had put a garage on with 2 big bedrooms over that, and still had 3 bedrooms in the original part of the house. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Something that you could, have 1 bedroom on the first floor and then an unfinished second floor. But as you have kids or whatever, you can finish off the upstairs or put an addition on for a family room, whatnot.
Yeah, and you can have it built so that the plumbing and the electricity is pre-plumbed. It's like comes up to the floor and whatnot,
right,
as well. So it's already ready to go.
Yeah, there's a lot of other ways that we're kind of looking at, whether to buy, if you can find towns that are amenable to it, doing cluster housing or something like that, where you can take a piece of land and not have to go through the process of subdividing it and put some starter homes on it, that
there are those towns
shares the land and potentially a septic system, and to make it as affordable as possible for people to get into a home of their own. That's what
I believe there's a map somewhere, and I don't know how updated it is. I've used it before previously with clients who were looking specifically for land in a town where there is minimal to no permitting.
Right. Yeah, there are towns around here that are like that, but most have, more restrictive zoning ordinances than what we would be looking for, where the minimum.
Alexandria, I think, is probably the closest one that I can think of off the top of my head. And usually those towns are very remote. Like, there's not like a grocery store.
Exactly.
But it's a good place to start.
That's you have to make some trade-offs when you're trying to get into a house.
Thank you for saying that. Randy said we would get along. So I guess, what do you love most about being part or a hub of the local community, or even as a business, or just as yourself?
Well, I've really only done one project here in this area. I moved to Franklin in 2017.
Okay.
And I was commuting back to Portsmouth because that's where my work was. And it was really nice to recently, just built a house on Flaghole Road here. And it's actually in Salisbury, but it was nice not to have to make that commute every day. But
wonderful.
When I moved to Franklin, I did not know a soul, not one person.
Yeah.
And after living here for a year, kind of doing my own thing, I happened to luck into, I should say, that volunteering at the Veterans Memorial Recreation Area. And by doing that, I've found community
Yes.
and found some really, intelligent, passionate, dedicated people that, that have a really great vision for Franklin.
I agree. Yeah.
And the changes that I've seen since I moved here have been phenomenal in, not only the downtown businesses, but how we've grown and expanded just our little, ski area. And it's been very rewarding. I don't even ski or mountain bike or anything, but just
Hey, you could just walk. There's trails
yeah,
around there you can walk. So I mean,
yeah, there's all kinds of stuff to do. But the people, have been it's really made a big impact on my life since I moved here. It just finding that community and sharing in that that vision and doing what we can to make
all working together.
it better, and
Yeah.
it's mostly, and the reason why I do it is because I can see the benefits that it has for the kids in the city and the surrounding towns, giving them opportunities to get out there and for a very little money, if any at all, that they can get out and do some really fun stuff.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about Franklin is the things that you can do outside at no cost. Unless, if you have the equipment, sometimes you can even rent the equipment, but it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Being outside is something I grew up doing pretty much every day after school or in summer, like it's where I lived outside.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy that I happened upon this house and I didn't even know about all those things. And now that I'm learning about them and meeting the people that are involved with them, it makes me happy. It gives me joy.
Yeah, it is. It's coming from Portsmouth, which there's really very little that an individual or a small group can do to impact.
It's such a big city. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and but here you have the opportunity to really make a difference if you want to put in and these people, they put in a phenomenal amount of time and energy into doing these things for
for the community, for everybody, for
exactly.
themselves, yes, it's a positive, wonderful thing.
Yeah, it really is.
I just came to my head. I'm like, Franklin, New Hampshire, the best little city in New Hampshire.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It really is. And I really hope that, we can just keep on building on that and because it's such a beautiful area. It's,
It is.
the downtown is perking up and, some of these empty storefronts filling up it's all good. It's all great. And
I am loving it as well. Yeah. Is there a fun fact people don't know about you or maybe your business, just so people get to know who you are?
Well, if the truth be told, I would probably rather be a farmer or own a restaurant, but I chose the least risky of those three enterprises.
The one that's always in need. I'm curious from a construction point of view, driving through and seeing the homes in Franklin, what renovation or upgrade do you think a lot of them could use?
Oh, well, driving by on the street, obviously,
you can only see the outside.
Windows, doors, and siding. The visual impact of that. Just doing something creative with your front, entry, whether it's a portico or even a small entablature over the door or something like that is just really
makes a difference.
Yeah, it's a very big visual impact.
And if anybody wants to see, any of their work or projects they worked on or meet the team or any of that, you can go to their website, stillmanconstruction.com, which is scrolling across the bottom. Uh,
And bear in mind that, since we've only been, revived as a company for about a year, the portfolio is limited, but it'll give you an idea of what we do and what we can do for you.
So people should reach out, make an appointment to see you and talk to you, see if you have time. Do you give free quotes to certain things or other things? Like, what can people expect?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to get, somebody to pay you for going over there and looking at it. But if we were to do a design, there would be a small fee
Yeah.
involved in that. But as I said before, even if you didn't use us to do the work, if you had some sort of a plan that you could show to other people so that there are no surprises when the project actually happens, it makes it
Worth it. Yeah.
it's a much smoother operation all around.
I think you kind of covered the unique challenge. Is there any other challenges that you have, that you've come across, or things that you've had to work around as a new business?
Well, anytime you start a new business or have been away from the away from your client base or whatever for a while, it's really hard to reestablish, because when I started the company and was doing it in that area for so long, I really never didn't have work to do because all my work came from word of mouth, and I went from one job to the next. And once I stopped and went to work for the new company, it took a long time because all those old customers didn't think that I did it anymore, and so they weren't getting in touch with me. So I think that's the biggest challenge of starting a business in a new area or revitalizing a business, is to get that customer base built back up.
Yeah, it's like a slope. Like,
it is, yeah.
For
and then
sure.
once you get to a certain point, then you're all set. I mean, there's builders around in Franklin that that enjoy that kind of reputation, and they don't ever have to worry about where their next job is coming from, which is a nice place to be.
Nice place to be, but also means that a lot of times when you're looking for work, it's going to mean that you're going to be more likely to, from a consumer's point of view, you're going to be more likely to be impressive, I think. I hope.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and it's all, in this business, reputation is all you have. It's you do something great and people tell one person. You do something wrong and people tell 100 people. So
that's why when I go online and I ask, everyone does it on Facebook, who do you guys recommend for whatever? Mm-hmm. I also ask, who do you recommend and who do you not recommend at all? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, that our focus really is customer service and communication.
Communication is key. Yeah.
It really is. And I think a lot of companies have, especially when you're a smaller company, you're so wrapped up in your day-to-day stuff that, it's hard to remember that the people that you're doing the job for it's the biggest thing they've got going on, and they want to know as much about what's going to happen as you can possibly provide for them.
Yes.
And if you're not going to be there, they need to know that. If you are going to be there, they need to know that. And
yeah, because it's about expectation. I found that a lot in my business. But for you, the expectation is daily. You have to give them an expectation. Like, I'm usually available between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. Mm-hmm. If I tell them ahead of time, they're less likely to explode at me when they're trying to text me at 10 p.m. and be like, what about this house? What about that house?
Right. You said it, managing expectations is the most important part of this whole of,
And you
most businesses.
got to do it up front too. Like
Yeah.
I'll let you know this and that. If you have a
Right.
question, please text me. If it's real important, text me so we can make a time to call.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. And I think if you do that, then there's a lot less likelihood that you are going to get that 11 o'clock text or email
Yes.
or whatever. I mean, that if everybody knows what's going to happen ahead of time, then there's usually no panic at all.
Right. Yeah. Because it's very emotional for people when it's about their house.
It absolutely is. And that's
they're
why,
anticipating and they're excited, but they're also spending tons of money. So.
Exactly. And I watched a podcast that you did with Martin.
Yes.
And you said that, people come to your house and, the example was you borrow a step ladder and then they just leave it wherever they left it.
Yes.
And, that is,
it's a subcontractor thing, I think. Is what it is.
And that's why you, if you leave the house clean every day when you leave, if if the place doesn't look like a mess, then there's less likelihood that people are going to start having negative opinions of you, and then they start looking for reasons to complain.
Well, that's the thing, is a lot of times it's not the owner or the person whose business it is. It's the people that work for them that do things like that, because to them it's just like their 9 to 5. Whereas it's your business.
Exactly. Like I said, reputation is everything.
Excellent.
And the other hard part is this is nothing new, but trying to find young people to come into the trades and learn the important aspects that aren't just how to use a saw and how to do the actual job, but everything that goes along with it. The interactions with customers and subcontractors and things like that. It's hard enough to get young people to come into the trades as it is, but to get somebody to come in and understand all the important aspects of it is even harder.
So is that something that you're interested in? If someone's interested in the construction trade,
absolutely,
they could reach out to you and have a conversation, at least to be like, why would you recommend this? Why wouldn't you recommend this? What does it look like, for a day for me? What does it look like for a life? Like, those sorts of things.
Well, the best employees that I ever had were homegrown. They were, kids that came out of high school and started working and stayed for 5-6 years or however long, and then went on to do something else, which that's great.
It's life, really.
That's what I did,
Yeah. Usually you don't end up doing what it is you started doing, in my personal experience anyway.
Right.
Excellent. So just for our listeners, how can people reach you? When can people reach you? And
well, there's a contact tab on the website. You can reach out to us there, and then we will definitely call you right back, and we'll talk about what you need and how we can go about doing it.
Did you hear that, guys? He'll call you right back.
I will.
That's the hardest part when with contractors, is like, they don't call me back. They say they're going to call you back, and then they never call you.
It's something that personally drives me crazy, because dealing with subcontractors, when you need an answer right away, and you don't hear back from them for days or weeks, it's very frustrating. So I understand that aspect of responding as soon as possible.
Excellent. Allyn, thank you so much for joining us today and introducing us to you and your business. We look forward to seeing you around town.
Thank you. It was great to be here, and I definitely I want to see Franklin grow and prosper as much as possible.
So if we have downtown business owners or people who may be considering buying some of the buildings for sale downtown, Allyn may be a good guy to reach out to, you know? Mhm.
Yes.
Have a great
Thanks
day,
for the
guys.
plug. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to the Trestle Times Talks from the Franklin Communications Group. Like, subscribe, and share to support local voices. And if there's news we should cover, our contact info is in the notes. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay Franklin strong.